Hello there and welcome to the first in a series of simple and hopefully short mathematical primers to get you up to speed with the language that we're going to use in the course as we move forward. So this first video is all about the ingredients of any macro model. This is the idea. So we're going to talk really about three things. We're going to talk about variables. We're going to talk about constants. We might talk about how bad my writing is. We'll talk about constants and we're going to talk about parameters. And actually we might have a bit of a deviation into coefficients just for the fun of it. Now, this is not something that would be new, if you like, to you. You've probably seen all this before, but first off, it's no harm to have a refresher, and second off, it's absolutely no harm that you understand this is how economists talk about this when they speak about these various models. So let's talk about variables. A variable is something that's its magnitude can change. Magnitude can change. So that's key. The magnitude of the variable can change at any time. Okay, so since the variable can assume different values, it must be represented by a symbol instead of a specific number. And so you will see things like consumption, C, or investment I, government expenditure G, exports X, imports M. You'll see things like prices P. You'll also see things like profit pi, and so forth. There's loads of different ones, and every time you see this, you'll see that it's represented by different values. Okay, so that's a variable. Now a constant is something where a variable's value is frozen at a specific value. Okay, so the constant is where the variable has a specific value. So for example, consumption is equal to 25 billion, or the price of something is equal to €3, that kind of thing. So it's a constant is a magnitude that doesn't change. So the magnitude does not change. Okay. Now a coefficient is slightly different. Okay, if you like, a constant is almost the antithesis of a variable. Okay, and hence the sort of differing and oppositional names. A coefficient is slightly different in that variables frequently appear in combination with fixed numbers or constants. So for example, the expression 0.5c. Okay, so 0.5 times consumption. Okay, so in this idea, when a constant is joined to a variable like this, 0.5c or pi times 0.3, this kind of idea, it is often referred to as the coefficient of that variable. So it's very often referred to as the coefficient of that variable. So a constant joined to a variable is called a coefficient because one modifies the other. So if C, for example, here was 100, then 0.5C would be 50. Okay. Now a parameter. If you let the value of a symbol, you let the symbol stand for a given constant and use the expression of that constant instead of a number, then you have to use a parameter. So for example, if you'll end up with B times C. So uppercase C, this is the variable here. This is the variable here. This is the variable and this is the parameter. Okay, so the idea here is that the symbol B, in this case, is supposed to represent the given constant. And yet we haven't assigned the value to the specific number. So this can take virtually any value. It's a constant that can take virtually any value. Which is pretty cool if you think about it, okay? Which is very, very nice. So, and again, the idea here is you will very often see these are typically lowercase. You'll very often see some version of income. Y is a function of consumption. So that's true. Or you can very often see it written the other way around. So that consumption is, if you like, a function of income. So this is one interesting way to put it. So we'll say that consumption is related to your disposable income. So your income minus taxes. But you don't spend all of your money on consumption. Of course, you might do some saving or whatever. And what we'll do is we'll put a parameter here, B. So which says that if your disposable income is, let's say, 100 and B is 0.8, then you will end up with your consumption of 80. And it's this kind of idea that what you want to do is you want to instantiate or understand the relationship between disposable income, which is this thing, and consumption. And using the parameter here, B. This is the consumption parameter. We often talk about this as the propensity to consume. And this is obviously the propensity to consume out of disposable or current income. Okay? And this is really all you need to understand any kind of model. So let me stop there with our, if you like, three big ingredients. We have variables, so something that's that its magnitude can change, so C, I, G, X, M, that kind of idea. Constants and coefficients, so these are obviously numbers whose magnitude does not change, and when they're allied to a variable, they're often called coefficients. And then we have parameters, which the idea here is that we're it's a constant that can take virtually any value, and what we try to do is we try to represent this using lowercase numbers, and then we try to define the range of them to understand the properties of various economic phenomena, a good example of which is a consumption function. Okay, thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next video.